The Lord be with you on this solemnity of the most Sacred Heart of Jesus. I begin with the gospel verse that is used in today's celebration. Jesus says, "Come to me, all you who labor and are burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am meek and humble of heart. And you will find rest for yourselves. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." This is the holy gospel of the Lord. And we celebrate today all over the world the feast of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. I think most of us are familiar with the Sacred Heart when we think of the 9 First Fridays that we say that the Lord promised Margaret Mary that if we make the 9 First Fridays, we won't die without a priest at our side. This is an argument for praying for more priests so we can fulfill that promise of the Lord. This feast, of course, goes back to the side of Jesus, which was pierced with a lance on the cross, where blood and water flowed forth. Jesus will himself in the gospel today speak of he is meek and humble of heart. This feast has an ancient tradition, principally as a feast, as a liturgical feast. It was celebrated by St. Bernard of Clairvaux, was one of the great preachers of the Sacred Heart. And as a feast itself, it was established in the Middle Ages as an opportunity for us to honor the divine love which Christ has for us that flows forth from the heart of Christ. It was Pius XI who actually made this the high feast that it is and has included it in the Roman calendar as a solemnity, which is the highest kind of feast that a person can celebrate. What we celebrate when we celebrate the Feast of the Sacred Heart is to celebrate the divine love which Christ has for us, that comes forth from his side. And if you're familiar with the images that we see of the Sacred Heart, we see a heart that's surrounded often with a crown of thorns and has a wound in its side. This is a way for us to celebrate the way that Christ has poured forth his love for us through the sacramental life of the church. On this website for today, we have included the Litany of the Sacred Heart. Litanies are, of course, very ancient ways for us to turn our thoughts to God and to the saints, in this case to the Sacred Heart. And what a litany does is name for us all the different ways that we can understand, in this case, the Sacred Heart of Jesus. We're told, for example, in this litany, Heart of Jesus, King and center of all hearts. Heart of Jesus, desire of the everlasting hills. Heart of Jesus, fountain of life and holiness. All these ways that we look to Christ to celebrate the love that he has for us. The Feast of Divine Mercy, which is celebrated on the Sunday after Easter, is rooted in the Feast of the Sacred Heart. It is from the heart of Christ that we encounter the divine love which was obedient for us even unto death, and which has given us peace and reconciliation. I will just read for you the closing prayer of this litany and invite you now to find on the website the copy of the Litany of the Sacred Heart and to pray that for yourself on this glorious feast day. Almighty and everlasting God, look upon the heart of your most beloved Son and upon the praises and satisfaction which he offers in the name of sinners. In your great goodness, grant pardon to those who implore your mercy. In the name of the same Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives and reigns with thee now and forever and forever. Amen. God bless you on the glorious feast of the most Sacred Heart of Jesus.